Artificial intelligence, it's on the top of everyone's minds. As business owners, there are two reactions to the AI wave: fear or excitement. And I think a lot of people are a little bit too fearful. They're too worried that AI is going to take over jobs, it's going to replace them as a business, or they're too excited where they think, oh, I'll be able to automate everything. I'll be able to work myself out of a job where AI will do everything. And I think both of those extremes they're just not balanced. I was talking this weekend with a friend who, he builds a lot of AI models. He works in digital sales, and I want to share with you guys a few thoughts that I had with him this weekend. What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Own the Exit. I'm Aaron Leatherdale, your host. Wanted to talk to you guys about a few thoughts, just very top of mind here on AI. So in our business, we have a real estate investment company, private equity firm. We raise a lot of capital. What we've done is in ChatGPT, the enterprise account, you can have your main account, you can add users. And what we've been doing, which is amazing, is projects. So they call them projects. And basically in a project, you can sync up that project with Google Drive. So it can access all of the different files that are related to that project. So for example, we have a property, and let's call it, 123 Main Street. That property in Google Drive has tons of documents from when we first found the property, due diligence, inspection reports, sewer reports, purchase contract, negotiations. Then we bought it, right? So we had the title work, we had the deed, and then, property management contracts, all the construction, insurance, everything that goes along with it. And then of course we have our pro forma, right? Which is our Excel model with all of which is our business plan, right? So all of those things, like when you're an asset manager and you're managing a property, if I go to my asset manager and say, hey man, let me know the variance on this, how much was the expense ratio on this, and how many units that rents, it takes time for him to pull together all that data. He's pulling it from the property management platform, the software. He's pulling it from our own tracker. He's reaching out. But with these projects that we've been integrating, it's something that's brings it all together, so we can literally type in there, hey, show me the deductible on the insurance, show me how many units. And it also ties into our back-end financial system. And so you can kind of create like a super agent. And that's kind of what I call them, the super agent is the employee at the company that kind of knows everything about the company. And it only knows what it can source, right, for the files and all the information. But we've been doing all of our trackers that are all in Excel or Google Sheets can tie in with APIs that we're creating. And even ChatGPT will even create the APIs, like 155 pages or lines, of code that you can put into Google Sheets that can spit everything out in real time. So every morning you're looking at those metrics that you need. What is the occupancy? What is trending occupancy, delinquency? These are the key things that you want to know when you're managing real estate. And it's saving just hours and hours and hours. And so, in your business, I would just look at what are admin tasks or what are data or pieces of information that you can use AI to gather quickly. And so a couple thoughts about, integrating AI. It's not perfect, right? I view it just as an employee. If you hire an employee, you have to train that employee, right? You've got to give them boundaries that they work within. Here's your job description. Here, and the employee's going to make mistakes, just like ChatGPT or whatever you're using. You have to train it, and that's why these projects have long-term memory. We're teaching them or training them, so soon these projects, they know everything about the business plan for that real estate asset. And I'm using the example of real estate because that's what we do. We've got 15, 20 entities that all own real estate and have equity in them and everything. And each one has its own business plan. So it starts to learn about each one of those entities and the plan. And so very exciting, but somebody needs to manage it. And so kind of going back to what I said at the beginning of the fear and the excitement, right? In business and just in life, you have those people that are kind of the early adopters, right? They're super excited about every emerging technology. They're right there, they're testing, they're ideating, they're implementing it. Then you have the people that are slower adopters that don't like change. They just wish it was always the way it was before, and they wish that they didn't have to keep, innovating, it's almost monthly, by the time we get all this stuff implemented, then the next version of ChatGPT comes out, or, even within years, like year by year, like it's just wild, the growth, right? And how things are going to be changing and how the industry is going to be disrupted. But I think just we, as business owners, we have to embrace that change. We had a guy on our podcast who builds AI models and is just deep in the industry. And he basically said, 5 to 7 years from now, there'll be two types of businesses: those that have implemented all of the AI and all their processes are AI driven and managed, and those businesses that don't exist. It's like saying, I'm going to start a business and I don't use email. There are no businesses. But in the 90s, it was like, email, what's that, right? That's where we are. We're kind of on the cusp of like, for survival, to be competitive, to succeed, you have to integrate AI into all of your processes. And it's going to make your job actually a lot easier. And I was even talking to one of our employees and he was like, I need to do this for job security. And I was like, well, I need to do it for job security as the business owner too, because no one's going to like fire me, but here's what's going to happen. My company is going to be less competitive, is going to be less successful, is going to be slower moving than the other real estate company down the road. So our whole company could cease to exist. So I actually have the need for that job security as well by implementing this. So it's not just the employees, it's the whole business. And so back to my point on the fear and the excitement, I think there's a balance there. I don't think everyone's going to lose their jobs, but I think some people will. But just like the Industrial Revolution, just like farming, just like how it's shifted, just like in different seasons of history, there are old jobs that become obsolete, as new technologies emerge, but there are new jobs that open up, and we don't even fully know what that's all going to look like. But I would say this: if you're one of the slower adopters and you don't like technology as much and you don't want to be the one, have somebody in your company that does. Hire that person and be like, you're going to be the guy that researches, that implements all this stuff, because you need it for your business, honestly, for survival, even, I think, in 5 to 10 years. It's not just fun or cool or could help with efficiency. It's going to be for survival. And so have somebody we have somebody in our business that he loves it. Like, he's always researching, he's experimenting, he's building stuff out. And so to me, that is something that, is very important. If you as a business owner don't want to do it, have somebody on your team that will do it. My last thought, as far as like job security, I mean, in how it's always been is, let's use like white collar jobs. Something happened in COVID, which was kind of crazy, which like we never realized that like blue collar jobs were actually the most secure during COVID, right? It was like housing was an essential service, plumbers, electricians, day laborers, whereas some of the white collar jobs like accountants, analysts, finance people, attorneys, they just were like, well, you guys can just work from home, right? And their jobs were almost threatened. And I think right now, on the wave of AI, a lot of the very high level admin jobs or jobs that are within like real clear bounds, like accounting, their accountants are working within clearly determined boundaries of tax law. I'd be worried if I was an accountant, because AI models can run all the different scenarios with different risk profiles for the client, all the different cases, all the different new, whatever Congress is doing, and pull it all together and actually not only complete your tax return, but strategy and present you with, same as attorneys, not litigation as much I'm not seeing, but more, because there's always going to be that human component, right? Where people want to talk to a human, people do have that like interaction, but the admin side of it, because so much of the legal world is just like paralegal stuff. You'll have an attorney who's like a really seasoned attorney. He's been through it. He's got bumps and bruises and real world experience. That attorney will be over like 5 junior attorneys, right? Same as accounting. You'll have a senior accountant over like a team of kind of junior. Well, guess what? All the juniors will go away. Now it'll be that same senior accountant over an AI model, right? And then maybe one assistant that manages the model. So I think as we go forward into the future, you're going to have to up your skill set, because I think if you're a marketing director who doesn't know how to use AI, how are you going to compete with the one who does? Or an asset manager, or any field. Medicine is at risk, for jobs. It's pretty wild how this is all going to be growing. But the good news is there's actually going to be the opportunity to capitalize on a lot of this as entrepreneurs. There's going to be an opportunity to make more money. There's going to be an opportunity to work less and achieve more. And I think it's going to weed out the the weaker employees, the lazier ones, the ones that are less open to change, and I don't mean that in a demeaning way. It's just the reality, and it's how the world works. But the good news is there's so much education. OpenAI just released a whole university that's free. There's so much stuff online. I follow like 5-6 people on LinkedIn that are just constantly cranking out all the education. Like, it's work of learning those things. But the reward is, being more competitive, having business survival, and making more money and going into the future, with business stability and capitalizing on it, like, even when the internet came out, look at how our world has been transformed, right? And all the good that's come from that. I think technology is neutral, because I even see people there on the fear side, they're worried about AI and stuff. It's like, I view technology as neutral. It's like money. It's not good. It's not evil. It's all about who controls it, right? And who's managing it. And then your heart, your intentions, your morals, your values. Is AI going to be used for evil? Yeah. Unfortunately, just like money is used for evil, just like all technology can be perverted and can be used for things that are not good. But the flip side of that is, these technologies can be used for amazing things, that can benefit humanity, that can do a lot of good, that can be, productive things that add value. And so that's my top of mind on AI. So I would just say this: if you're overly fearful, I wouldn't be overly fearful, but I also wouldn't be overly excited. You'll just be able to totally replace your job, or you'll just, have some model do it. Like, no, there's always going to be people that need to be working, that need to be managing the technology. But I think we're going to land somewhere in the middle where, because it's so new, there's a lot of, sensationalism around it. But I would say this: just take small steps. Because for a minute there, I was really overwhelmed. Like, how am I going to learn all this stuff? And then I just realized, what I'm going to do in Q4 of this year, I am going to just implement X, Y, and Z. And that's kind of what I set for myself and my little team that's helping me do it. This is what we're going to do. We're not going to go crazy. We're not going to try to, and what we're doing is simple in our business. We're not trying to go to Mars, We're just trying to streamline some of our admin processes. We're trying to be more efficient, and then we can grow, right? And then more and more and more, we can keep implementing and including more of it into our processes and things like that. So, guys, this has been great. AI. It's awesome. It's scary. But thank you for tuning in to another episode of Own the Exit. Please, if you get a chance, like us, follow us on YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, post at Own the Exit. Until next time, have a great day.